Joining me again, my friend, is the inimitable, the ineffable, the ineluctable Bob Kudla from tradewithlionel.com. Bob, good to see you. Let's get into it. Every time I speak with you, you blow my mind, and today is no different. So proceed, sir. Blow what's left of my mind. What should we be looking for? What's happening?
Yeah, so we're coming into, I think, probably the final blow off in the stock market before we go into a bear market and an economic retrenchment. So things are setting up here. Look, the way the market operates is it requires the government to keep increasing money supply, and then also needs to provide liquidity that can be leveraged. And so we have a situation setting up right now where there's a lot of liquidity that's going to be available for speculation in the stock market for the short term. And that's coming from companies have a lot of cash yet, so they're buying back shares. You got the federal government that has liquidity from the tax revenues, and you have the Federal Reserve that has liquidity. And then also just mom and pop, because of the interest rates are at 4% and 5% short-term money, is that they have a lot of liquidity. And then the banks have liquidity because they're buying the Feds, they're buying the Treasury short-term bonds, and they can leverage that up 8x. And so all that's gonna come into the markets for a final blow-off. And why we think it's coming for sure is that Bitcoin is the canary in the coal mine. And Bitcoin now has, obviously hit a high of 74,000 a couple of weeks ago. It pulled all the way back down to 56,000. As of this morning, it's back up over 70,000. I think it hit over 71,000 overnight. And once it breaks that high again, it's not going to look back. You're looking at 80,000, 86,000, then over 100,000, and then depending on how radical your view is on the move, there's some speculation that Bitcoin can go up to even $170,000 on this move. And why that's important is that Bitcoin is more what I would call a pure barometer of liquidity and speculation, because there's less ways in which they can manipulate it, because they're you have to settle in Bitcoin. Okay, so they just can't create fake silver and fake gold. You can't create fake Bitcoin because it's on the ledger. Okay, so it just operates more purely up and down. Okay, and so yep, I'm sorry. Yeah, I have the dogs barking here in a second.
That is quite all right. Don't worry about it.
So
I share the dog's feeling. We're excited.
They're right outside my office. My wife just walked out the door, so I apologize for this.
Please, let's don't ruin this. Don't ruin this excitement. It takes more than a dog.
Yeah. So we have a situation here now where the rest of the market's going to follow that liquidity. Mm-hmm. So, and but we'd be looking at a 15 to 20% move higher in the next 60 days. So we're telling our clients to strap in, take advantage of this. And then by the time summer ends, anywhere between up to August 15th to Labor Day, the market's going to shift its focus to the elections. And then the market's going to get choppy down depending on who they think is going to win the election. Let's set aside all the moral aspects of it and the cheating and all that crap. None of that matters to the market. All that matters to the market is who they believe is going to win. Whether they win legitimately or not is irrelevant.
Right.
And so you got Democrats that are saying, hey, we got to pump this market so people will buy our stuff. And then we have Republicans are saying if the Democrats win this election, we're going to have to hunker down because all hell's going to break loose, because we'll be on full-on socialism for the Biden second administration. So people are going to starting getting nervous, and they're going to be starting taking profit. If people think Trump's going to win, the market's going to shift towards those things that Trump's going to be into. If Biden were going to win this election, everybody's going to be shifting towards really a more socialistic point of view, and there's certain stocks that win and lose in that environment too. So, as a trader, I have to set my own personal feelings aside, because
Right. Right.
somebody gave me an adage a long time ago. Do I want to make money or do I want to be right?
Right. Now, let me ask you something very quickly. Is Bitcoin too late to get into? People are saying, "Oh, I missed my time." Is that over with? Has that ship sailed?
Absolutely not. Once it hits 74,000, you can get a double on Bitcoin yet. But Bitcoin's not the only game to play. So there are these high yield options out there that are associated with Coinbase, with Square, with MicroStrategies that
Hmm.
they create they create these collars,
Right.
and these collars are designed uh, to give you leverage and also pay huge dividends. And so, I mean, you're talking, last year, the ones that tracked Nvidia and the ones that tracked the Coinbase and MicroStrategy, you're talking between 70% and 130% distribution of the underlying price of the contract. And so, as prices go higher, these contracts get worth a lot of money, and then you also get these high dividends. So I'm in all of those. Plus, I'm in the Bitcoin futures BITO. So you could be leveraged to Bitcoin without having to open up a crypto account. And that's my personal preference. Obviously people are Bitcoin maximalists. If you don't own your coins, you don't, you don't have them, right? But I like to monetize everything I own, and generate cash from it. So that's how I'm trading it. We're doing really well. Our customers love it, and we're making a lot of money. And people that trade with us will show you the strategy, and you can trade with us as well.
Now, for those who are not familiar with you, you are like there's nobody like you in terms of what you are. And I don't want to say preaching, but what you're selling. We've said this before. If you don't want to say it, I'll say it. If you're watching anything on TV, if you're watching any kind of cable finance program, you're out of your mind. That's number one. Number two, you always shift with what happens. You never say, well, that's it. Like just now, I asked you this stupid question. Is it too late? When before we've said in the past, there's never too late. There's something happening. Up, down, it doesn't matter. You profit always, but in different sectors, different angles, different theories, different strategies. That's the thing about you. You're not pie in the sky. You're not an either or. You're a let's look at this, read the horizon, and act accordingly. Now, right now, Bob Kudla, if somebody wants to go to tradewithlionel.com and says, this is terrific. I don't know anything. He talked about liquidity. I don't know what the hell he's talking about, but I want to get in. I want to be a part of this, but I don't know anything, or maybe I know a lot. Tell me what happens when you go to tradewithlionel.com, or if you call 800-949-1408 and tell them that Lionel sent you, what happens?
Well, it's really simple. So what we do is we provide you with access to our algorithm, and all you really know about it is that it tells you when to buy and when to sell, and it tells you whether or not you're buying the dip or you're selling overvalued assets. That's it. So you don't have to know anything about trading to be able to start taking advantage of, because it's very visual. We created it for people. We simplified the whole process, but more importantly, we give trades out every day. So you can follow those trades, and literally the next day, as long as you have access to a phone, or a PC, you can get the alert sent to you, and you can trade those. And then we obviously have chat rooms where people can ask questions, and then there's training videos on how to use the algorithm, what the setups look like, and things like that. But literally in one day, you can start taking trades. So, but if you want to get proficient, 3 to 4 months, and if you want to do this for a living, 3 to 4 years. So that's kind of what I tell people. And but most, I would say at least half my customers work. So they just want to get the alerts. They kind of want to know what's going on. They got a job to do. They can set their trades. That's the beautiful thing about technology today. You can literally be working. You get an alert. You go to the other app on your phone. You can put the trade on and go back to work. You literally, wasted 30 seconds of your time. And as you know, working in an office probably half the day is really wasted time anyway.
Oh yes, indeed.
So
Now,
yeah, so you don't have to be glued to your desk to trade. The other thing too, people don't realize, first 2 hours of the trading day are the most important. The rest of the day, a lot of it's just noise that you shouldn't be trading anyway.
really,
And then the last half hour is important. So you literally, if you even did this for a living, you can be 2.5 to 3 hours a day. Spend the rest of your day. Like when I'm done with you, I'm going to exercise, right? So you got to get yourself away from the desk.
now let's go back to some other. I love your trends. The final blow off. Last time was the big rotation. You see things coming, and you always speak about next quarter, next month, next year. This is what's happening, and it's very also you. And I'm so glad you said this. Irrespective of what I do it sometimes when somebody asks me to predict or if I comment on a case. I say, well, I think they're going to come back. How dare you say, no, I didn't say I want this. I'm telling you what's going to happen. It's like being a pathologist and holding up, a lab result, or a radiologist and say, yep, it's broken. What do you mean? I'm telling you reality. Tell us some other great stuff too about Bitcoin, real estate, gold, copper, metals, stocks, bonds, any, give us a bit of information that nobody knows, within reason. Something that nobody's talking about.
Well, that's a better answer. The thing is, the market doesn't hide what it's doing. It's really your belief. Obviously, you as an attorney, you've seen it every single day. People are just blinded by their own narratives, right? So, but the market has seasonalities to it, and the market has what's he calling liquidity is just an infusion of cash for speculation. That's all it is. And then so, but there's certain things that it's a simple math. When the Federal Reserve lowers interest rates for the first time, if you're not out of all your speculation in the stock market, you're going to lose money. Okay, there's a truth that people know, but people don't yet believe or grasp it's going to happen. And so, but we have math and we have probabilities on our side to tell us that, there's greater than a 90% chance that's going to come true. And in stock trading, if you have anything better than 65 or 70% chance of it happening, you take the shot. And so like big money is already starting to move into the longer bond yields because they know going into recession, that's the safest place to hide. And also recession is baked in the cake. The Federal Reserve guys are out there today saying risk of recession has evaporated. They're absolutely on drugs. We absolutely are going into a recession.
Well, why would they have any incentive to tell you the truth? I'm not. It's like the moral hazard, so to speak. Why would the Fed ever? They always have to justify their existence. Nobody knows what the hell the Fed is. I'll never forget one time they asked, who was it? Alan Greenspan. They said, who can replace you? And he said, nobody, no one. I mean, somebody said the Federal Reserve is as federal as Federal Express. So why would they go out and basically do something to denude themselves of this myth of being able to handle or being a part of the government itself? So right off the bat, I can impeach that witness.
Well, look, the 2-year yield actually can stand in for the Fed at any moment. The Federal Reserve is designed to allow the government to overspend and allow the banks to get free money. That's all the Federal Reserve has done. You can set up any kind of construct. If you were worried about banks having what's called a mismatch, the reason why Federal Reserve was quote unquote created was to protect banks on a mismatch. What a mismatch means is that you and I have our money in a savings account at the bank, right? We have what's called a demand deposit. That means we can demand our cash at any time, all right? But if you and I get a loan, we may get a loan for 7 years. They can't demand my repayment of that loan unless I don't pay it. And so if tomorrow you and I decide, and you and I are the only two people in the bank, and you and I decide tomorrow that we don't want our money there anymore, or we want to do something differently with it. Well, the bank doesn't have our cash.
Right.
So what the Federal Reserve is designed to do is they pledge my loan to the Federal Reserve, and the Federal Reserve creates the cash to give you and I to satisfy our demand for the cash. That's that is what it's supposed to do.
Right.
Okay. And it turned into this monster of opaqueness and insider deals and money to European banks and interest rates. They should not even be involved in interest rates at all. The market should decide what the cost of money should be. But they create this incredibly complex monster to confuse people. But if you ever notice the 2-year yield, the Federal Reserve follows the 2-year yield. So if you start seeing the 2-year yield fall, interest rate cuts are coming, and vice versa. So yeah, and you start to see it. Look, Argentina's starting to take control of their Federal Reserve. I guarantee it. The Communist Party runs the Federal Reserve in China. There's no independent Federal Reserve there. And so, but the Federal Reserve really is designed to support basically the elites in Europe.
Right.
And so, but it could absolutely be replaced tomorrow. It could just simply be the 2-year note is now the cost of money. And if you want to, you as a bank need to borrow money to satisfy your demand issues, you simply have to borrow from the Treasury. The mint could produce as much cash as it needs to be produced, and the mint can destroy cash as it needs to. We already have a constitution for that. So yeah, they absolutely can be replaced. Will they be replaced? We'll have a civil war before that happens.
Right. Exactly. Now, Bob Kudla, the reason why I laugh about this is that so much of this is it's so Byzantine. It's so it defies any kind of logic. But I gave up years ago because my understanding of it means nothing, or my approval of it. The bottom line is simply this: with all that, and you and I have known each other for a long time, what is the best and what people have told me about you is that you are straight up, you're honest. You want them to know this is what I'm trading, this is what we're trading. I want you to make money. This is our return. This is how we're doing. Transparency, no opaqueness. This is what it is. If you want to, whatever level you would like, we are here to help you. And I know sometimes people are flooded with this and they say, yeah, right. Because you hear it all the time. We're just bombarded by show but you're different. And I'm not merely saying that because you're here, but it's true. If there's one thing that you are the proudest of your organization, of Trade Genius, also tradewithlionel.com, what is it? The one thing that separates you from the rest?
I would say consistent performance. So the algorithms that we created have been very consistently performing at what I would call an acceptably high level. So, and this has been for years. I mean, even before I had Trade Genius, I had a private group called Bob Loves Trading and Bob Stock Signals. And we've always had this range because what we like to trade, is we call it the middle 60, so I like to trade things that are trending up. I like to then buy those on sale. And we just basically designed the algorithm to give us an opportunity to win 2 out of every 3 times and to be able to take 1, 2, or 3% in aggregate net of loss on our trades. And it's just been that way for years. So I say that is very important in trading, especially when you're building a portfolio. You want to have consistent performance because you don't want to have a big drawdown because it could take you 2 or 3 years for you to get that money back. So I say that's what we're most proud of. And, I mean, from a personal standpoint, I've always been this way. You ask me my opinion, I'm going to give you my opinion. So I won't be rude about it. Even our government, as a Christian, I am bound to support my president, whether or not how I feel about him personally or what I think he's going to do to the country. That's not my concern.
Right.
So I try to always be judicious and a lot of people say that I'm very even keel.
Good.
So
I can tell.
That's kind of where I'm at on this. Because, one thing people, and I'll just speak to it personally, is that you can't control 90% of this stuff. So why worry about it? You just, all you can control is how you're going to be able to react to the situation. Or if you're lucky, proact, right? So, I know that we're going into recession. It's math simply tells me. So am I out there, blowing money left and right? No, I'm out there raising cash right now. I'm out there starting to get defensive. As the market's moving higher into this blow off, I'm taking chips off the table. And I need to make sure that, with the big years, you have lean years, and you have to be able to, fight another day. And so that's kind of how I view things and view life. And, you and I have been around the block. So we know there's nothing new out there. Cycles are cycles for a reason. And people need to prepare for it. And I think you said something in the very beginning is that you can't watch TV.
Yes.
They're absolutely designed to separate you from your money. Okay. I mean, you have a Fed president out there telling you that recession odds have evaporated. That is absolutely a blatant lie. They see the data. When you have more people not working than working in an economy,
Right.
that is not a healthy economy. When you have inflation that is up 22% in 3 years, okay, that is not a healthy economy. So what they do is they and I love this word, they gaslight you, okay?
Right.
And the reason why they do that is they want to be able to panic first. There's another adage in trading: he who panics first panics best.
Mm-hmm.
So they want to keep you in the frog pot while they all hop out,
right,
until it's too late for you to get out of the pot. And because they want you to be what they call exit liquidity, meaning you're the sucker at the poker table. So they tell you lies until it's too late for you to be able to profitably escape.
And I got to say this just politically, maybe you don't want to but there's another term, Bob, in our society all the time is this thing called, misinformation, disinformation, lies, hate. Well, misinformation and disinformation, they went absolutely crazy if you mention something about, let's say, a medical procedure or about a medical condition. But somebody can go on television and say that a blatant absolute lie, something that is just nothing but duplicity when it comes to investment. Nobody cares about it. Nobody cares. Billions of dollars can be wiped out. So anyway, that's enough with my.
Well, you know why that is, right? I mean, CNBC operates under advertising revenue, right? Well, who are the advertisers? People selling stocks and asset management. And so there's no way they're going to go ahead and shoot themselves in the head, right? By being an honest broker.
Right.
And look, and the medical misinformation was because the number one advertiser for news programs is pharmaceutical sales. Right. So look, and I'm not anti-pharmaceutical. I mean, my wife wouldn't be alive today if it wasn't for the drug companies. So, but it doesn't mean that they don't do things that are wrong and evil.
Well, of course not. Of course not. And and also every now and then there'll be some story about, and I don't even know, this AMC, some guy comes along, big kitty, little kitty, something kitty, and they'll talk about these kind of tangential stories about the market or whatever, and I think they lull people into thinking that this incredibly complicated but workable system is like People Magazine. No, it's not. That's a cute little story, but there's a little bit. It's more complicated than that. But anyway, I don't want to preach.
No. I mean, look, it's important. I mean, if you're listening to me, people are anxious. They want to make more money, and how do they do it? There's a lot of people out there that just tell you how rich you can get so fast. And look, I've been doing this a long time. I mean, I'm coming up on, date myself for 30 plus years doing this. And the only way to get rich in this business is slowly. And
absolutely,
the more risk you take, the more likely it is you're going to have drawdowns that are going to set you back a couple of years. So you just have to be prudent, follow the seasons, follow the trends, follow the cycle. I mean, look, trading works like a sine wave.
Right.
Most people buy here because that's max news coverage. You want to buy here when there's and you want to make sure it's still trending the right way. So that's all we do.
And you don't want to chase stocks and chase trends. You don't want to jump into the last minute. It's such implicit sense. But the best news is tradewithlionel.com. Go to tradewithlionel.com or call 800-949-1408, 800-949-1408. Please tell them Lionel sent you. So all of a sudden the bells will go off. They go, oh, good, because you always take care of our great viewers. And it's never too late. Don't ever think like, well, that's for a young man. I'm over it. It's over for me. No, 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 no. There's always something you can do and always something you can do better.
Yeah, I mean, look, and what we charge for the service is nothing for everybody to get out of it. So, we the risk rewards in your favor. I mean, you can even go month by month with us. So, it's obviously I'm only as good as my last trades, right? So,
Right.
it's in my best interest to make sure that you make money, or I wouldn't have a business. So,
Absolutely.
yeah. So, it's easy to get in. It's easy to try. It's easy to take a shot. And, we view ourselves as white hat people.
Well, Bob Kudla, you are the best. TradeWithLionel.com, 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 or call 1-800-949-1408. And please remember, tell them Lionel sent you. Bob Kudla, as always, my friend, thank you so very much. Have a great and a glorious time, and I can't wait to speak with you again.
Great. Thanks. I'll talk to you later, Lionel.
All right, sir.